Billionaire said, "I don't shake hands with staff." 5 minutes later, the black man pulled. Beginning. Victor Dreamin was the kind of billionaire who would build his empire not by sweating on factory floors or spending long hours in laboratories, but by inheriting old money, crushing competitors with ruthless efficiency, and surrounding himself with men and women who feared him more than they respected him. His mansion stood on the cliffs overlooking the Atlantic, a fortress of glass and steel that reflected the sun like a crown on his private kingdom. On that particular evening, Dreamin was hosting a discreet gathering of investors and government officials. The air outside shimmered with the hum of anti-drone shielding, a feature he boasted of often. "No machine enters my estate uninvited," he would say with the arrogance of someone who believed in the permanence of his wealth. The staff bustled quietly through the halls, moving like shadows, trained to never draw attention. Among them was Malik Osei, a tall, broad-shouldered man in his late 30s who worked as the chief engineer responsible for Dreamin Security Technologies. Unlike the waiters and maids, Malik had a mind that could rival any of the scientists Dreamin hired. Yet, to Dreamin, Malik was still staff, a tool, a cog, a replaceable part in the machinery of his empire. When Dreamin descended the grand staircase to greet his high-profile guests, Malik was already in the lobby, making final adjustments to the scanning pylons that lined the marble entrance. The machines pulsed faint blue, reading everything that entered the house: weapons, chemicals, even foreign nanotech. "Good evening, Mr. Dreamin," Malik said, standing straight, his voice calm and respectful. He extended his hand slightly, out of courtesy, not expectation. Victor Dreamin's lip curled, his face sharp under the crystal chandelier light. "I don't shake hands with staff," he said coldly, loud enough for several guests to hear. They chuckled politely, pretending it was a harmless quip, though Malik felt the sting all the same. For a brief moment, Malik's eyes held Dreamin's. They were steady, unflinching. But then he nodded and stepped back into the shadows, returning to his duties. None of them knew what Malik carried inside his chest that evening. Neither fear nor humiliation, but a quiet decision. Middle. As the gala unfolded, Dreamin made his rounds, sipping golden liquor and boasting about his company's latest project, Project Helios. It was a solar orbital array. Hundreds of satellites wired together to beam concentrated solar energy down to Earth, a weapon disguised as an energy solution. "We'll end the oil wars," Dreamin declared to a circle of politicians, "and replace them with Dreamin power. Every city, every household will have no choice but to pay for my sunlight, energy monopolized by me." The guests applauded. Some laughed in disbelief, others in admiration. Meanwhile, Malik moved quietly, watching the glowing monitors embedded in his wrist console. He wasn't adjusting pylons anymore. He was running code. For months, he had been preparing, working late in the labs, testing Dreamin systems against phantom hacks, only to secretly build backdoors into them. The billionaire had unknowingly given him the keys to his empire. As Dreamin bragged, Malik slipped into the control chamber deep within the mansion, beneath layers of biometric locks. Inside, the air thrummed with the pulse of machines. Holographic schematics of satellites hovered in the air, strings of data cascading down. Malik connected his console to the system. The locks recognized his clearance, but they did not recognize what he had hidden beneath it. His fingers danced, uploading code disguised as maintenance protocols. In the hall above, Dreamin's words grew louder, more arrogant. "Do you understand? With Helios, I could level a city in a day. I could set fire to oceans. And who would stop me? The government? They eat from my hand." Guests laughed, some nervously. Down below, Malik whispered to himself, "Not anymore." He tapped a final command. The satellites, hundreds of miles above Earth, shifted alignment. No alarms rang. To the mansion system, it looked like a calibration run. 5 minutes later, as Dreamin raised his glass to toast his vision of domination, Malik stepped back into the lobby. His wrist console blinked silently. Dreamin spotted him, narrowing his eyes. "Osei, did you finish tinkering with my machines?" "Yes, sir," Malik said evenly. "Good. Then pour yourself a drink and stand at the wall like the rest of the help." That was when it happened. A thunderous crack split the air. The chandeliers rattled. Guests gasped, rushing to the windows as the night sky above the ocean lit up. It wasn't fireworks. It was sunlight, raw and unfiltered, a golden beam slicing down from orbit like the hand of a god. It struck the sea half a mile offshore, boiling water into steam, sending waves crashing against the cliffs. The mansion shook. Panic erupted. "What the hell is that?" someone screamed. Dreamin's face drained of color. He turned sharply toward Malik. What did you do? Malik didn't flinch. His voice was calm, almost quiet, but every syllable cut like steel. You said you don't shake hands with staff. But tonight, staff pulls the plug. Climax. Chaos engulfed the mansion. Guests screamed, rushing for the exits as automated security drones whirred to life, scanning for threats. Dreamin lunged toward Malik, fury twisting his face. You treacherous bastard. Do you have any idea what you've unleashed? Malik met his rage with stillness. Yes, balance. On his console, the satellite schematics bloomed. The orbital array, once Dreamin's crown jewel, was no longer his. Malik had rerouted command to an independent network buried across dozens of anonymous relays. It answered only to him now. The Billionaire security team stormed in, weapons drawn. Drop it, Ose, one shouted. But the blue pylons Malik had tuned earlier flared to life. Energy walls crackled, blocking their path. Dreamin realized too late. The man he had dismissed as staff had prepared this evening with meticulous precision. The second solar beam carved through the sky, this time striking closer, lighting the waves like molten glass. Guests wailed, scrambling under tables, terrified that the mansion itself would be next. You'll kill us all, Dreamin shouted. No, Malik said, stepping forward. I'll show them what power looks like when it doesn't belong to tyrants. With a flick of his wrist, the third beam streaked downward, not into the ocean, but across the horizon where Dreamin's private oil refineries dotted the coast. Fireballs bloomed one by one, industrial empires igniting in chain reaction. The night became day, painted in orange and red. The billionaire fell to his knees, his empire burning before his eyes. You think they'll follow you? He spat, trembling with rage. You're nothing but a technician, a black nobody. Without me, you'd be scrubbing floors. Malik's expression didn't waver. He crouched slightly, his voice steady, low enough that only Dreamin could hear. Without men like me, Dreamin, you'd be nothing but a fool with money. The world doesn't run on your arrogance. It runs on the hands you refuse to shake. For the first time in years, Victor Dreamin had no words. Ending. By dawn, Dreamin's empire lay in ruins. His refineries and data vaults had been reduced to ash. His investors had fled. His name was no longer spoken in awe but in curses, tied forever to the footage of burning coastlines. Malik did not stay in the mansion to watch it crumble. When the police and federal agents arrived hours later, they found Dreamin a broken man, ranting about betrayal, pointing at empty halls where Malik had once stood. But Malik was already gone. In the weeks that followed, the world struggled to understand what happened. The Helios array still circled the Earth, but its beams never fired again. Anonymous transmissions claimed it had been locked, placed under guardianship, its control distributed among encrypted channels that no government or corporation could monopolize. Energy crises eased. Blackouts ended in cities where Malik quietly diverted safe streams of power. For the first time in generations, light belonged to the people. And as for Dreamin, stripped of his fortune, he vanished into obscurity, a cautionary tale of greed and arrogance. Some whisper that Malik Osei had become a ghost in the networks, the unseen hand guiding the satellites, ensuring no tyrant could ever claim the sun again. Others said they had seen him in the poorest corners of the globe, walking quietly among the people, repairing machines, teaching children, and never once asking for thanks. But those who remembered that night in the mansion never forgot the moment. The billionaire sneering, refusing a simple handshake, and 5 minutes later watching the black man he had dismissed pull the world out from under his feet.